Hey guys, it's the Philosopher, and welcome to the Console Explosion podcast. Today, our first topic was a blockbuster movie that's been announced. Another Indiana Jones movie is in the works, and Harrison Ford has been confirmed to be working as Indiana Jones once again. And we have some very excited people at theconsoleexplosion.com who wanted to share their thoughts on that, one guy in particular, so stay tuned for that. And of course, the other topic was Daredevil Season 2 has hit Netflix. If you guys have not seen it yet, fix that. Season 1 was amazing. You guys need to get on that right away. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning into the Console Explosion podcast, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hey guys, I'm the Philosopher, and we've got a whole bunch of people today. So many that we had to have some people back out because it was just too crowded. We might get some more, and some guys might leave, but we're just going to talk about some topics. The first one is an announcement that one of our people here at the Console Explosion is very excited about, which is the new Indiana Jones movie announcement. And yeah, that's actually kind of big news. But Indy, what do you know about it?
Well, on March 15th, the Walt Disney Company released a press release stating Spielberg and Ford will reunite for a fifth Indiana Jones movie due out in theaters July 19th, 2019.
2019, okay.
Wow.
Right.
It's forever from now. What?
Harrison's getting up there in age, but I think he could still pull off Indy.
Are you sure he won't get a heart attack or anything? Oh, one to that gap. Okay. Movie ends.
He was awesome in The Force Awakens, so I see no reason why he
The first thing he did when he got on set was break his hip.
Dang!
That wasn't his fault, though. No, come on.
It was his ankle, and it was in a trap door or some crap like that. But yeah. But then again, for what? He's 70, right?
Oh shoot! Hold on, we're going to research this real fast.
He's old, but anyway, he's still looking pretty good for a guy who's that old.
He's 73 right now.
73. He also survived the plane crash recently, which was also impressive.
So I mean, he's still got it. And then it was also announced that David Koepp will also be joining as screenwriter for Indy 5. He is known for his works of Jurassic Park, World of the Worlds, The Lost World Jurassic Park, and also the fourth Indy movie that we don't ever speak of.
Star Wars?
Fourth Indy movie.
Fourth Indy movie. That's not Star Wars.
The Crystal Skull.
I didn't think it was that bad, to be honest.
You mean?
It wasn't bad. Okay, it wasn't bad. There's just some scenes we just
don't defend it. Don't.
No, it's too late.
It's too late for that. It's too late for that. We don't talk about it.
I mean, sure you do have that kid from the Transformers movie, but
Shia LaBeouf.
that's about really the only negative I had with it. But
Well, everybody hates Shia LaBeouf. I would have done the same thing about getting paid the amount of money that he was getting paid. I'll just say that right now.
Just do it.
Just do it.
I mean, he wasn't. At least he wasn't as bad as the Asian kid of the second Indiana Jones
Short
movie.
round.
There's nothing wrong with Short Round, thank you. Short Round was awesome. He was also in the Goonies, so he was awesome. But
Who was in the Goonies? Did you say Shia LaBeouf was in the Goonies?
The actor.
Yeah, I heard
Short
they're
Round.
having a sequel of that.
To the Goonies?
Oh, okay.
How?
They're like in their 40s and 30s now.
Yeah.
And
Would
dead.
it be based on the NES game?
Yeah, but
No.
Damn it, Tyler.
what I was going to say was Harrison was recently on Late Night with Jimmy Kimmel,
Mm-hmm.
and he was talking about, I'm going to read it off the article, when Kimmel brought up the news during the interview, his audience erupted in cheers. "I'll be ready, I'm excited about this," Ford said. Kimmel asked if the team finally came up with an idea that he loved after the disappointing fourth Indiana Jones: The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Ford delivered a more hearty "yeah." and then said, "I haven't read the script." Ford clarified, "I'm talking about the contract." So he must have got some major bucks for signing on to do another indie movie.
That or like it's one of those things where it's more like I think the only reason he was in Star Wars was so they would greenlight the next Indiana Jones.
Well,
movie.
I think that was the whole thing too. He agreed that he would do Star Wars as long as he would play Indy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he wanted to do Star Wars so they can kill off Han Solo.
He's always wanted to kill Han Solo. He thought he should have died
since
in
the
Empire. Is his opinion,
Yeah, I heard about this. I think I read about the second movie when Han Solo gets like frozen in that statue.
I always wonder though how they're going to pull it off because like you said, he's also older, and the way it seems like in the timeline they're trying to keep everything in order. So like with the fourth one, it was the communists and all. At this time, wouldn't that put Indy with his age, if they line it all up, wouldn't that put him more in the late 60s, early 70s then?
No, he'd still, based on his age, he would still be in the 50s because this current one was in the 50s. So
was it early 50s or late 50s though? So
it was early 50s because it was just after World War II pretty much. So it was like early 50s. Because he still said I like Ike, so that puts him middle of the 50s.
Okay, but so it'd be interesting. So if they take it to the 60s though, if possible to the 70s, where would we be dealing with? And it wouldn't be Russia though. It would be what would be the enemy since the Nazi.
The enemy would still be the Soviet Union. That'd be your primary geopolitical foe to the United States in that time period. But I mean, you could do stuff like communist coups all over the world in certain areas. So I mean, the Soviets could still be a viable enemy in the story. So it's not like
that's true. When was was it Korea or who am I thinking of?
The Korean War?
Yeah. When was that? Was
1949 through 1954.
So it could be possible. It could either be communist or maybe a Korean enemy.
Well, I mean, it could always be communist Chinese too. I mean, they were pretty viable as far as enemies.
But see, they also brought. I was reading articles about like who's going to be Indy's sidekick. Are we going to have Shia LaBeouf again? Is it possible? Is Short Round maybe coming back? I was talking with a few friends, and they were saying, well, you know what, Short Round should be the enemy, like totally. And that, I thought about that. I was like, that'd be kind of interesting twist. You don't know what happened to Short Round and everything. What if it is a reversal thing where, Indy's, sidekick that he, practically raised and probably sent off to school, I'm sure, became his enemy. That'd be kind of an interesting twist. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting thought.
They wouldn't do it the Short Round, would they? It's a booby trap.
Who knows? Anything's possible.
Hey, Tyler, are you drinking beer?
Yes.
Sam Adams beer, the most American beer you can drink.
Hey, the good news is I didn't have to pay for this.
Yeah.
It was a gift from my older brother when I was in Washington, D.C. Yes.
Do you think they're going to try again to pass down the torch to somebody else? Because it seems like they were trying to give Shia LaBeouf the role, but a
lot of people don't like. Well, see, here's my thought. Like, and I thought of the perfect thing how they could still keep Harrison to play Indy, but also get a much younger actor to portray Indy as well. Is if Indy's maybe saying, like, maybe older Indy's talking with his grandkids or something, and he's telling these stories, and it kind of does this flashback, which is kind of what they did in an episode of Young Indiana Jones. I think it was Mystery of the Blues, if I recall the correct episode, where they actually did have Harrison Ford in that episode, and he was talking to another fellow person telling his story, and it was a flashback. So, and I think that's when they can introduce a new indie, such as, Chris Pratt or who's the other one they were talking about? Dang, I can't remember his name. And then, in my opinion, I think that's one way they could introduce a younger indie, but yet still keep Harrison on board. Because, face it, I mean, I hate saying it, yeah, he is getting older, and, he do a lot of his physical, I won't say stunt work, like extreme stunts, but, like the Raiders truck scene and all, he was the one under that truck being dragged. I mean, he did the physical type of stuff. So with his age now, I don't know how much he's able to do that.
Yeah.
So I
You
don't
might
know.
go with more of the would it be the Sean Connery role?
Well, see, that would be. I mean, there's many like like I was saying, the flashback would be interesting, and then that's how you could bring in a younger Indy. Have a different actor portraying his son, and then actually Indy being kind of like the Sean, like you said, Sean Connery role. Anything's possible. I mean, and then the other thing is, what else could they go after? What's the relic going to be this time? I mean,
Yeah,
we've
that's a good question.
we've done Crystal Skull, we've done the Holy Grail, we've done the Shakara Stones, we've done the Ark of the Covenant.
I would wager what I think they should do. This is going to be completely out of left field, but do a flashback thing like what you're talking, but then take it back to the 30s, 40s, and then do like a Hitler and the Spear of Destiny kind of thing.
Yeah, see, that would be kind of cool. Or look at some of the video games that they've produced. Like they did Emperor's Tomb. They've done Fate of Atlantis. They've done the Infernal Machine.
The one on friggin' PC back in the early 90s. I think it was like the Necklace of Atlantis or some crap like that. That one was amazing.
Yeah, Fate of Atlantis and Infernal Machine were awesome. And the Tower of Babel, that would be kind of cool too. I mean, they've done so many cool video games that I would love to see them portray something like that, like Fate of Atlantis and all that. I mean, it'd be cool. I mean, I think you still have enough, I guess you call it MacGuffins, that they could still do. It's just writing a better story than the Crystal Skull.
Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, got more to say on the Indiana Jones thing?
I was just going to say, I understand that the reason what they did for the Crystal Skull was they were trying to portray, 50s kind of the theme, during the 50s theme was kind of like science fiction and all, so that's, I think, why they kept with the whole flying saucer and all that, which I understand where they went with it, but I don't think they should have necessarily done it, but, thanks, George Lucas, for your wonderful idea.
Well, I mean, like, it was a good idea.
I agree,
because
actually.
if you look at it the way they planned, like, because Indiana Jones was set in the 30s, it was an adventure epic. So they wanted to jump it forward to the 50s because they had waited freaking over a decade to make the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So it made sense to skip the 40s, which was basically just World War II films.
Mm-hmm.
The dog is his opinion, apparently. But it was basically just World War II films. And you jump into the 50s, which was a lot of B science fiction, was the most popular film of that era.
Right, exactly.
So they were trying to mimic that in a sense, but the problem with shitty B science fiction movies is that they're bad, and there's nothing you can do to save those. They were just literally the crap you would watch in a double feature before you got to something better, like the sound like what's one looking at? Freaking Gene Kelly dancing movie, but whatever.
Singing in the Rain or something like that.
Rain, thank you. Like,
You're
the crap you went to the theater to watch till you got to the good movie.
Right.
That was the entire purpose of those. So
and
they built an entire multi-million-dollar film around that campy idea, and it just was shit.
Now, granted, it still made a lot of money because, heck with it, it's indie.
Well, pure name recognition alone earned them that. So I mean, it's not like, and considering that Disney has a substantial investment in these now, I mean, the hype train behind this alone, they'd recoup all their money just because people would just eat it hook, line, and sinker. So I mean, it's not like it's a bad investment to make an Indiana Jones movie. You're guaranteed to make money.
Well, yeah, and I'm hoping that since Disney's taken over this, that it's going to be maybe better without Lucas, per se.
Well, I think Lucas pretty much wrote all of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, granted, he came up with a phenomenal character design and idea around Indy, which is fantastic because Indy is the reason why we have some of the games we have today, like Uncharted and Lara Croft.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, they're pretty much based off of Indy, which is pretty cool. But face it, Lucas came up with some ideas that necessarily might have not have been or I should say, should have never been allowed into some of the films.
The nuking the fridge scene. Holy crap, that was
awesome.
Oh my god.
Like the effects were good, and that's cool, but be on it. Like no one is going to survive that being in a lead-lined refrigerator. I'm sorry.
Have you tried it?
No.
Yeah,
no one's tried it.
I mean,
clearly I've tried it.
I mean,
Now,
how do we know it won't work?
but granted, before you finish that,
There's actually a really interesting YouTube video that discusses that you potentially could survive it, provided certain things happened in exactly the right way. And also, one of the problems with 1950s refrigerators was that they had no lock that you can undo on the inside. So as soon as you locked the door, you were stuck on the inside.
Oh shit!
So basically, there were gigantic public service announcements back in the 50s and 60s saying don't play in refrigerators because you'll die.
Well,
So that's one of those things where kids were playing them because the lock was only one directional and you couldn't get out once you were in. So it's like he would have because of his size and the size of the refrigerator, he probably would have asphyxiated before the crews came and got him.
wow.
And the other thing is,
Terrible.
there's two things out of that scene. One, him flying in the air and tumbling over and over again, that would break every practical bone in your body. And two, due to that scene, it has came a lot of Easter eggs in other games, like Fallout New Vegas had an Easter egg where you run by a refrigerator half opened and there's a skeleton and a fedora in the refrigerator. So, I mean, it has brought on some interesting Easter eggs due to that scene, but everybody just on it terribly. So, I mean, granted, we have David Koepp writing it, so I'm hoping it's going to be better without Lucas.
It won't be hard to be better than that. I mean, honestly, at this point, it's like literally because let's just set an example of films because episode 1, 2, and 3 were so goddamn bad. All episode 7 had to do was be okay. That was all it had to do. And people were like, "Oh my god, best movie ever!" because they just haven't seen a good Star Wars movie in over a decade. So, literally the entire case. So all they have to do with this one is make an okay movie, and people will praise them for it because the bar is so low.
Yeah, but you've seen the 4th movies, and you pretty much seen the 7th movie.
Yeah, fair enough.
Can somebody put me up to date? I believe it or not, I'm kind of Star Wars and Indiana Jones illiterate, but so George Lucas is involved with both of those things there.
Yes, he was.
Well, did he create them both?
Yes.
George Lucas and Steven Spielberg teamed up in the early 80s talking about an idea of bringing back an adventure serial, and they worked together and created Indiana Jones.
Serial as in...
Well, okay, so a serial back in the day, in the 1930s, when you go to a movie theater, there was a weekly program called a serial, which was a series of movies you would watch before other movies. So it was a weekly film you could go and watch, and you pay like a nickel to go see it. And that's why it was called a serial, because it was, not like breakfast cereal, but like serial as in reoccurring.
Yeah. So I thought that was so interesting with when, I only in recent years heard about when George Lucas went back to the old Star Wars movies and redid them redid some of the parts with CGI effects, people were outraged. Like a lot of people they just disliked it, the final product of that. Because, one of the things that I heard said in a clip that I saw of the People versus George Lucas documentary was, art is never finished, it's just abandoned. And, whatever art, is I guess as done as it could get. And, those things shown with their flaws are what affects people. I just thought that is so interesting ever since I've heard of that. So if a creator feels like what they've created isn't completely finished, but maybe they don't have the ability to finish it, but they want to get something out there, with your time on this earth, then hey, just as long as it's together, somehow the best you can do. I guess that's what makes art, and just show it. Go ahead and provide it to the world.
Well, I would say the difference between in terms of art is abandoned in the sense that the reason why Lucas went back and meddled in so many things was because Lucas became a filmmaker in the time of the studio systems. So basically, Lucas, when he was doing these projects, had next to no real oversight. So what would happen was he would have an idea, and then people would say, no, that's dumb, and then he'd have to change it. So in an essence, Lucas coming back and revisiting his films is because he became so powerful and so renowned in this industry for what he created, was that no one, eventually he reached a point when no one would tell him no. So he could do whatever he wanted to those films with no one saying, hey, you probably shouldn't mess with that, because it was literally you got it right the first time. And so he never felt that way. But because people weren't around to tell him no anymore, that drastically impacted the quality of his work and the things he did. And I think ultimately it was a part of his psyche. But yeah, your argument is also very good as well. But that's just my input on why I think Lucas did what he did.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so too. Yeah. If a creator wants to go back and redo the things that they did, I'd say that's kind of dangerous. Well, evidently it's dangerous because there's already been so many people who have recognized, the work that has already been available and shown, publicly, worldwide and everything. And, when you go back and change stuff that, a lot of people might have loved about, what the creator actually changed. Yeah, it's a lot like, you guys ever played the Silent Hill HD collection?
Nope.
Or heard about it?
No,
I've heard about it.
I heard about what happened.
Yeah, they redid. They got new voice actors in it. They redid the voices, which coming to think of it now is dumb. It was pretty dumb, and some of the music plays at some of the wrong places. You see, I love I love Silent Hill anyway, and the soundtracks especially. Akira Yamaoka is the name of the man who's behind the sound that makes up the Silent Hill atmosphere. Or at least he was the one who was originally there, and with the HD collection. Some of the sounds at certain points have been remixed and kind of damaged. So on my end, I'm saying if you're gonna mess with the work of my man Akira Yamaoka, the stuff I love from that came out from him, that's where I'm gonna be pretty irked. You know what I mean?
All right. And this is kind of the last question for me on this topic. One, I'm not happy with Konami right now, but we've talked about this in prior podcasts as well about HD remakes and stuff like that. Kaztak talked about it during the Final Fantasy VII remake episode, and my thought is this: one, as the creator, I feel as a creator, it's my right to change what it is that I want. Granted, I do have to keep in mind how people are going to react, but if I don't like something, I just won't buy it. That's just how I've always been. Like I bought the Metal Gear Solid HD remakes because I knew what I was getting into. I just wanted to play it on a newer console with a newer control, without having to get my PlayStation out of the closet, PlayStation 1 or 2. And I've noticed that a lot with like themes and trends. People get very pissed when Lucas redid his things, and I personally thought the thing where Darth Vader went no was kind of stupid. But and I will say though, in that certain instance, it is hard to find the original copies nowadays, the ones that are unedited. But at the end of the day, it is partially his baby. I know he co-wrote it with somebody else, so there's that whole thing, but. I always find that really fascinating how people get mad about, like there's a lot of purists out there who get mad when the original person changes it. I don't know. I think that's really interesting, and I don't know all the facts. I don't know what's going through his head, but it's just like, for me, it's more so just, yeah, okay, it's his thing. He created it. He can change it how he feels, but I don't see a reason to get like super upset about it usually.
Another ridiculous thing about the Silent Hill HD collection is that it was the things that were altered in it were altered by people who had nothing to do with its original creation. So yeah, they were messing with the original creator's work.
Right, and see, so that would be a little bit different then.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I'm going to give you a homework assignment, and you need to watch Star Wars and the Indiana Jones trilogy.
Well,
Do it right now.
if I get time to, man, I've got tons of things already on my plate right now, and honestly, believe it. I mean, well, scorn me for this if you want, but I'm not super interested in Star Wars and Indiana Jones. But the story of production and that kind of thing, I still think it's interesting. And I see why people are into it. And of course, if you're into it, hey, that's awesome.
You're killing me, man. You're killing me.
So, well, let me ask you this: do you think they're going to do a new trilogy, or is it just a one-hit, one-and-done sort of situation?
I honestly think they might be try to do another trilogy.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to get a big-name sidekick, like Chris Pratt or something like that?
I don't know.
I can see like Chris Evans and or Thor, maybe not Thor. I don't know. Someone like pretty much any of the Marvel characters nowadays. I could see any of them playing the role of the sidekick.
So you want superheroes in Indiana Jones?
Just actually, yes, that would be cool.
No. Speaking of that, I don't know if it was a fan art or what it was, but I did see that there was someone came up with it was Indiana Jones standing next to Captain America, since it was during the same time frame. It was really cool. And he's like, he looks over at the captain and goes, "Hello, Captain." He's like, "Dr. Jones." So it was like really cool. I'm like, I could see that, I could see that since it took place kind of the same.
I would like to see a comic like that.
Oh, so I see. So you want a crossover movie with Captain America?
It would be. Hey, you know what? I'm up for that. I mean, that'd be kind of cool, especially if it was set during the 30s. But that's not going to happen. But just saying. I'm just saying.
Indiana Jones owned by Disney?
It is owned by Disney, so I mean,
there's a possibility.
Anything's possible.
True.
Has Indiana Jones been owned by Disney from the beginning?
No. George Lucas sold it to them.
Lucasfilms is owned by Disney, I believe.
It was under contract through Paramount, but was owned by Lucasfilms.
You mean originally?
Originally, yes. And then Lucas, when he decided to go into retirement and not really do any much filmmaking anymore, he sold Lucasfilm and LucasArts and all of his IPs to the Walt Disney Company.
Huh.
So that included, of course, Star Wars and Indiana Jones, but they had to buy the contract out from Paramount, who was under the contract of showing them, producing them, and everything like that.
That's a really interesting piece of history.
I think he sold it for over $1 billion.
$3 billion.
I was
$3 billion?
told. Yeah. I was told he could have gotten more out of it.
He probably could have.
It's $3 billion.
It's still $3 billion.
Yeah, but didn't Disney pay more for Pixar?
It's like, oh, well, let me just sell a little more. It's like,
Pixar was also making highly successful films. Lucas was just sitting on intellectual property, so there was kind of a difference there.
Okay.
Okay, I'd argue.
Yeah, I can argue with that. Yeah. So hopefully it does well. I would like to go rewatch some of the Indiana Jones movies because I saw them so long ago that I don't really remember them. They didn't leave a huge impact on me as a kid, but I knew they were very highly acclaimed movies.
That's okay. I saw them like a couple of years ago.
Raiders and the Last Crusade are my two favorite. So Temple of Doom's just too dark for me, but I know why it's that.
Temple of Doom is a bad movie.
Ooh.
Well, they're both going through a divorce. Expect it to be a bad movie.
Just a bad, it's like we're not sinking, we're crashing, and then they go down a building on a fucking inflatable raft, please, or no, on a mountain. Jesus, that was. Ugh.
All right, I'm trying to think.
As bad as the nuking the fridge thing.
Oh no, the fourth. Well, I'd rather watch the fourth one than the second one.
Yeah, I think it kind of, for me, it goes in order of what's good is Last Crusade, Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, Temple of Doom and 4 are kind of tied because I hate them both. But that's just me.
What's your order, Indy?
Raiders, Last Crusade. I'm kind of like Ian. It's like the 4th and Temple are kind of tied neck to neck. So I don't know. That's a tough one. But like I said, Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones Last Crusade are my top 2 favorite.
All right.
No, I don't remember the third movie.
I don't know which is which. I remember.
I saw Crusade with Sean Connery there, lad.
Okay. I remember the first 2 movies and the 4th one, but I can't remember what the third one was. Huh.
The Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail. No, ain't that the first one?
No.
Oh, that's the Ark of the
That's the
Covenant.
third.
Oh. Oh, well.
No, Raiders of the Last Ark was the first one.
Oh,
Republic's
okay,
the second
yes.
one. Last Crusade's the third one.
The Last Crusade.
See, technically, they were supposed to be called all of them were supposed to be called Raiders. They weren't even supposed to have Indy in the name. So it's supposed to be like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Raiders of the Temple of Doom, and Raiders of the Last Crusade.
But I guess they were thinking, you know what, we need a name like Star Wars or something. So
We need a dude's name.
Branding is half the battle.
Well, I mean,
Raiders gets into it sounding like a football
face it,
team.
it was originally supposed to be Indiana Smith.
Yeah.
It doesn't really sound as cool.
I'm guessing there was some kind of copyright issue with that.
No,
No,
it just sounded terrible.
People are just like, Lucas, that's not a good name, and he's like, okay, I'll change it.
Jones. That's a rare last name. Let's go with it. Let's do it. And cut. Action.
John Cena. No.
Do it. Do it.
God. So I gotta switch topics here. I gotta talk about.
I've ranted. I'm happy. So
okay, good. I'm glad. If you have to bow out, that's understandable. But I gotta get into this, and I'm gonna try to keep it somewhat spoiler free because I know everyone's a different part, so I don't want to talk too much about the overall, like each episode storyline sort of thing. So I'd rather talk about the themes and just things that we like so far.
I'm going to interrupt you right there. I'm probably going to head and bounce out.
Okay.
But, thank you for having me on here, and I'll be back another time.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. See you guys.
Have a good one.
All right. So, if you've been living under a rock, Netflix has been making some great series, and their newest one as of right now would be Daredevil Season 2. And that came out over the weekend, and I've been watching it. I know a few other people have been watching it. Tyler, I think, saw an episode, so that makes me happy.
Hey, you want to know something funny? If you don't mind me saying, you're talking about living under a rock. I myself, I actually, where I stay, it's a garage that's turned into a man cave. So I've basically been living in some place that you could consider a rock. So yeah, and I hardly know much of the Daredevil thing, but I remember you saying, the question you were asking about, was it killing for justice or something? Isn't this was that actually related to the Daredevil thing?
Yeah, and I'll get to that in just a little bit for sure.
Wait, right, that's fine. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're good. That's fine. So yeah, I've got to say personally that I've been enjoying it. It's very refreshing is not the right word because it's such a violent movie. I don't want to use the word refreshing. Show, thank you. You're actually correct. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. Tyler, have you seen season 1, or did you just jump into season 2?
Yes, I've seen season 1.
Okay, and then Ian, how far are you?
I'm like 2 episodes into season 2.
And
I'm rationing it.
Smart. I've been kind of binge. I'm too busy. I be too busy. That's good English. I be too busy to watch all the episodes all at once, so I don't. But what do you guys think so far?
It looks good. I think I saw, was it Punisher at the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just really happy they're actually, because I don't know, I watched Jessica Jones as a holdover between these seasons, and Jessica Jones just felt like a really weak show in comparison. I mean, like the only thing that held that one together was Jason Tennant. Or I don't know, I can't.
David.
David Tennant, thank you. Jason Statham, that's what I was thinking. Two British guys.
Oh.
Can't tell the difference, apparently. But,
that the doctor guy?
Yeah, the guy who played the Doctor.
Yeah.
So, but he was the only one that really made that show kind of interesting. The rest of that show was kind of more boring. But Daredevil, I think, does a really good job in the way it carries the story, and especially the way they've been amping up the violence in this season.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say, do you think they'll go like, hey, I wonder how much we can get away with this? Decapitate him. Yeah.
Well, it's Netflix. They're their own controlled network, so they're kind of independent from
true. That's true.
What to do, so they can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Sex scene. Let's do it.
Yeah, they can do it. They can do whatever they want. They're like
watch Hemlock Grove. I mean, there's a dude going down on a girl during her moon cycle, so to speak.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. So Netflix does some weird stuff. Also, Sense8 is another one. The Wachowskis, however you pronounce that. But I digress. On the theme of violence and stuff like that, just to kind of give you guys an overview without telling you too much that's already out there, the Punisher plays a big role in this season, and from what I understand, I'm pretty sure this is true, he's supposed to be getting his own standalone season as well, which I'm guessing is going to also be very good. Shane from The Walking Dead does play the Punisher, and I feel he does a fantastic job of playing this guy. Plays a crazy person very good, but the fight scenes are amazing. I like it at least. It's very entertaining. The storyline is good. The whole Matt Murdock and Daredevil part, very very entertaining. But on the aspect of violence, kind of like what Might I Share was talking about earlier, is I kind of want to talk about the idea about it, the idea behind the character, and it's pretty well known that Punisher is very violent. He kills, but he kills for some would say vengeance, some would say justice. The people that he kills, he feels he deserves to kill them. And then you have Daredevil, who is a character who right now refuses to kill. He has, at least to his knowledge, not killed anybody. If you watch the show, you might ask how he hasn't killed anybody. But
I thought he did.
No, Daredevil does not kill. At least not on
Well,
purpose.
the movie says otherwise.
What movie?
The Daredevil movie.
We're not talking about that.
Yeah, because that was so faithful to any source material.
I don't care. I still like the movie.
Yeah.
God,
So we're talking about the movie show, or God damn it, Tyler, you got me messed up. The TV show. The TV show, not Matt Damon or Matt, whatever his name is. I can't even think of his name. What is his name? Batman.
Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck, that guy. Not that guy. We're talking about this new version. He does not kill. He beats the crap out of people, that's for sure. But my question is this. Do you think it is morally okay to... I guess I would say, what side would you be on if you were in the situation of either the Punisher or Matt Murdock, the Daredevil? Would you say it's okay to kill, or would you say no, it's never okay to kill?
Well, if I may jump in, it's like I myself am for the death penalty for people, for people who who kill with no remorse for no reason. Like, you ever seen the movie Hostel? I'm not gonna jump into a discussion about Hostel, but has anybody seen that movie?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Okay. Like that old man. He will see this kid, this guy's friend, these two American kids, drugged. One of them was drugged, taken to this torture chamber. He woke up, and this old man who they ran into a couple other places. A long story short, started just grabbing drills and shit and killing this kid, with a smile on his face for no reason, making him cry and everything. Somebody like that, I don't give a fuck what happens to people like people who do shit like that old man did, that particular guy. You see, I myself applaud what that young guy's friend did to that old man at the end. I applaud him for it. Watch the movie, you want to know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I myself am for the death penalty when it comes to sick fucks like that.
I'm like the complete opposite of you.
Hey, you know, that's fine too.
I know. I'm like the complete opposite.
I ain't gonna hold it against you.
I am against killing, but I am not against crippling someone.
Ian's like
If depending how bad they are, if I just cripple the legs, they're never gonna walk again. If I slice off their arm, but I make sure they stay alive, I'll make sure they won't use their hands for bad or evil deeds.
I'll have to leave a word of that.
Do what Paxton did at the end of Hostel. Fucking go for that sick fuck's fingers first, you know, because he deserved it. I mean, he killed his friend with a smile on his face for no reason other than his sick ass pleasure.
Why can't I just cut off his arms, legs, and he's good. He's a sack of potato.
I don't know. Well, because that guy. People like that might not learn from their mistakes. They might pretend they show remorse or whatever, but they might not.
But
you
hey,
know, what are they going to kill again?
Do? What are they going to do now? He has no arms or legs.
Oh, well, you got a point there.
But then I'm like, everyone sucker punch him. Okay, everyone in line.
Will he get disability, and will he make enough money off that to be able to get himself some new, I don't know, appendages? I
really don't think they go out of their way to give serial killers or things like that like prosthetic arms and limbs. I don't think there's like any like charity organizations out there that are going like putting on TV ads like every day a serial killer without arms doesn't kill anybody.
Go fund the felon.
What if you got the money though?
Well, yeah, I guess the guy was already pretty rich. That's why he was doing it in the Hostel series, right? Was because they were buying these passes to murder these tourists. Wasn't the whole thing in that whole story?
They're pretty much.
Here's something. Does anyone go to change.org?
Oh, that petition website that you go and sign on? Yeah.
Yeah. I got an email like the other day from change.org, a lady explaining her story saying, "Do not give the death sentence of the person who murdered my child. He does not deserve this."
What? Well, I mean, bless the heart of somebody who is that merciful. In all honesty, but yep. That's I don't have much more to say.
I actually thought that's the weirdest change.org petition I've ever gotten.
So I got to get back on topic. What about you, Ian? What did you think?
Oh, the moral implications of killing people because I believe it's morally right. In that situation, you have one of those things where I'm very pro the judicial system and the belief that the police should do their job. But then again, I also don't live in a comic book universe or whatever particular version of decaying New York this is. So it's kind of because I think the whole point of Daredevil and the Punisher is the Punisher exists because he's an anti-hero. He's someone. I guess if you were to turn like in D&D scales, I guess he'd be chaotic good, or something along those lines, where he just does what he feels is necessary within the parameter of his own moral compass. Personally, I don't agree with the idea of killing people because I believe what they're doing is wrong. That's honestly for a jury of their peers to decide, and that's kind of how I am.
So I don't you're the Daredevil approach, and
it's not the Daredevil approach too. But then again, I'm also kind of like I'm not the kind of person that. I don't agree with what Daredevil does either. I'm like, they're police for a reason, but then again, the universe they live in, it makes for a great story.
Yeah.
So I kind of morally don't exist anywhere on the parameter between the two.
That's interesting. I kind of teeter back and forth. This is something I've actually asked myself multiple times, which is why I found this very fascinating. And Chris is kind of getting to the point to where I'm going with talking about, does one make him a hero for not killing, or make him a hero for not killing, and does the other one make him not a hero because he kills? And it's a theme I've seen a lot in comic books that it's bugged me a lot because I don't believe in just taking a life, even if they are doing bad. Because personally, I think people can change; they can be reformed. You're very much a victim of your environment. So if you're around crime, you grow up around crime, you're probably likely to be a criminal, and you don't know when you have the kind of lifestyle, and that sucks. And that doesn't give you the right to make somebody else a victim, but also people don't understand their circumstances, and it's a very tough call. And I'm kind of the opposite, where I don't have a lot of faith in the judicial system because so many rules and regulations are happening, and they change because we learn more information or we just have different standards. For example, I don't want to get too far into this, but at one point it was illegal for me to vote just because of the color of my skin. And
no, actually, well, yeah, well, no, it wasn't illegal for you to vote. You couldn't vote. But then when you did vote, I'm saying about black people, you only counted for a third of a person. No, 3/5 of a person. Sorry.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. So I mean,
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the 3/5 rule. So like even like so this stemmed from the fact that southern states, because of their massive population of enslaved peoples, would have a greater voting electorate than the North at that particular time. So they decided that every black person in the South was only worth 3/5 of a white person vote, basically. So that was where that kind of thing came from when it came to census numbers and stuff like that for determining electoral numbers. So yeah, we don't have a very good history of being good.
Nope.
And that's the first example that came to mind. I didn't want to like pull the race card, but I mean there's a lot of other things and silly laws that have nothing to do with race, and so that's why me personally I feel obviously it doesn't exist in the real world or is very minimal, but vigilantism, if you will, is a necessary, not evil or good, but it in the comic book world I would say it is a necessary thing. It's just the whole killing versus not killing. And I'll use this example because I talk about it all the time, and I know people might get upset, but Batman. I can't stand Batman because he won't kill the Joker.
Well, that's what makes him awesome.
Does it, or does it make him an accomplice to murder?
No.
He's the one person who can stop the Joker, and he never actually, ends his life.
Well, here's the thing. There's other superheroes that could have ended Joker, but they wouldn't step up. So...
I guess that makes sense. I mean, you do have a point there. Any hero in particular, but I mean, Batman and Joker have always been this rivalry, and he refuses. And they talk about this during Batman Under the Red Hood. If you like Batman and you haven't seen that cartoon, watch it. Under the Red Hood.
Oh yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Teen Titans vs. Justice League is coming out.
Yes, actually, that's a good point. He says no.
I
Hey,
love Teen Titans Go.
awesome.
Yeah,
What?
Honestly, I love Teen Titans Go. It satirizes everything about the original Teen Titans. Teen Titans always kind of fun.
No.
That might be kind of off topic, though.
No.
Yeah.
Stay calm, Tyler. It's okay.
No. Fuck Teen Titans Go.
But seriously though, it's something that's always I don't know why it's bugged me for so long for this particular issue, but it just seems like a lot of people who don't kill certain villains, and again, it is a judicial, in my opinion, it's not just the superhero, but it's also the police not putting down the Joker or whoever, Wilson Fisk, or whoever else is doing these things. The judicial system in these comic books, it's hypothetical, it's all fake, but they're failing. The vigilante who's stopping that person, they're failing, and you have this weird revolving door of villains going into jail and then coming back out and killing people, going to jail and coming back out and killing people over and over again. I mean, it makes for a great story, so that's obviously the reason.
Well, Tavian, here's the thing that you got to consider when talking about these comic book stories like Batman and especially Daredevil and even the Punisher, was that they're a product of the 70s. And what happened during the 1970s was you had a drastic economic decline in the urban centers of America, with white flight and things like that, and urban decay. So you had basically gigantic urban areas in the United States that were becoming increasingly crime-ridden and poor. So you had this really almost horrific situation going on where people literally thought, like the city of New York, for a period of time, there was a theory that they thought it was going to just decay into chaos. And that's kind of where films like Warriors or Escape from New York kind of come from. They come from that thought process of these cities were basically spiraling out of control. So the Punisher is almost a direct, I would say, some comic book creator wishing that someone could make a difference by killing these people. Even like the film like Death Wish with Charles Bronson is kind of a reaction to what was going on at that point in time. So these comics are kind of this this, I guess you could say, like an answer in quotes as far as like what they thought would be a good solution, or at least a fantasy about how they would fix these things. Because I mean, in New York, for example, you actually had literal vigilante groups that started to rise up in the subways to protect cars and things like that. They were kind of they're almost like the proto Black Panthers, but they weren't based along race lines. They were based along groups of people that would go and just protect people and make sure there was order in the subways and things like that. So you had stuff like that going on. So these comic book characters are a product of that time period. And then in the late 80s or mid 80s, you had this gigantic economic turnaround and kind of revigorization of the inner cities, which New York became gentrified, things like that. So it's a really intriguing thing where you have that response to these things. So I think it's kind of a product of its time in some way. Something to think about.
Always good words from you. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, I know it's something that I've always had an issue with. It's like it's a me thing. It's made me think a lot about like outside of comic books, just moral things that go on in the real world, and it's the world's not so black and white, obviously.
You know, I think one of the biggest things that makes any form of entertainment really powerful is, you know, when you apply certain whatever things you can to real life. You know, is when it comes to maybe moral themes, or even just, you know, just what tone is in the air. If it's a fantasy world, you know, where you just kind of chilling and enjoying life and believing that the world is fascinating, and you know, but of course, yeah, there's always the moral thing, and it's a debate that, well, not for me, but for some, can go on forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I myself don't like the idea of killing. I don't ever. Just I do feel that, you know, it is deserved by some who, you know, who have done the horribly wrong. For one, they deserve it. They you know, sick people who kill innocent people for no reason, or other than, like, you know, sick pleasure. For one, you know, that's deserved, and it can appease they who may want them dead. And for two, you're ridding the world of a sick monster. You know, if you're killing in the name, well, killing a sick, you know, serial killer in the name of justice, you know, sick serial killer who kills innocent people.
No, well, what's really intriguing is actually in the time we live in now, we actually have some of the lowest crime rates in human history, and in fact, like, violence levels across the world are actually at the lowest point they've ever been. And you can track that to a lot of different factors. Something that has drastically changed in the last 75 years is how we've been phasing out lead pipes all over the planet. And what they discovered, lead pipes, yeah, what they discover is that as a direct result of lead poisoning or even mild exposure to lead over extended periods of time, your IQ actually drops significantly. And also, certain parts of your brain are increased to cause more violent tendencies. So the nice thing is that what you find is, especially certain urban areas where you have a greater number of lead pipes, because we've been trying to phase them out, but because we made so many freaking lead pipes that you can't necessarily find all of them. So there's a direct correlation between the amount of lead in the water to how violent certain areas are.
That's actually really fascinating.
Yeah, so the quicker we get rid of that, the easier it will be to lower violence pretty much anywhere. But so there are factors like that. But the nice thing is we're living in a time and place in human history where these numbers are essentially going down. And a nice thing is that globally, every generation, on average, is about 3 IQ points higher every generation. So you have the benefit of the populations getting smarter and also violence going down. So it's only a matter of time before things like that are relatively a thing of the past. But yeah, I mean, there are certain things where, like, you do have people that are seriously disturbed individuals that you can't really explain why they are the way they are. Like, for example, Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, is an individual who murdered, I don't even think they have an accurate count on how many people he killed. But he got away with it because he was oddly intelligent and also was somehow involved in running campaigns for the Reagan administration at one point, which is really weird. But he was a community organizer, and he got in good with him. There's actually a photo of him shaking hands with Reagan, I think, somewhere. It's kind of weird and actually really disturbing that he got that close to a president when he was being a serial killer. But yeah, so it's kind of, so there are things like that. That's definitely a mental health condition that definitely needs to be addressed and helped. But that's my thing.
Did you say that it was lead? Something about lead that actually if I can if I'm taking this in right, did you say lead actually it kills part of the brain cells and it lowers the tendency to be hostile or whatever?
No.
Sorry.
Lead is the exact opposite. Lead makes you dumber and more violent, is what lead does.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
So was that clear?
Rid of lead.
Did you guys get the rest of that, or do I need to redo the speech?
No.
Okay.
No, I get it. I get everything you said there. Everything's rendered. Everything's rendered. Clearly in my
I don't know that serial killer's name or who he is.
Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yeah, don't think I've ever heard of him.
Really? Well, he was horrific as far as the stuff he did. He was pretty fucked up.
What's his name?
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
And make sure you probably want to turn on your image filter if you're doing that. You're going to see some pretty screwed up stuff. But that's one example, and I'm of the opinion that some people just need to be euthanized out of the population because of that. But then you get you also have really intriguing things like the guy, I can't remember his name, but he went up in a bell tower and shot a bunch of people before the police took him out. And one of the things he said was, donate my body to science after. And what they discovered was he had a gigantic brain tumor that was pressing on certain parts of his brain. So a lot of it is neurochemistry, which makes it really interesting.
Whoa.
It's definitely something that can be addressed because it's a certain imbalance in the brain for whatever reason that causes certain tendencies like that.
Well, I mean,
also,
if it's a tumor like that, if they really truly can't help what they do, then really they should be locked up at the very least.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's something like that.
It's locked away from society.
Oh yeah, it's a health issue that needs to be addressed, really, in my opinion. But
I've also heard the thing that the whole everything's before everything was given a disorder. It was remember the times when it was just bad people. I mean, I heard a line like that from the movie Case 39, and I thought that was a good point, really.
Well, here's the thing. You had literally at one point in human history, through the process of people believing heavily in eugenics, was that they literally believed there was a thing called the criminal class. It was a genetic underclass of human beings that were criminals because they were genetically predisposed to be that way. And it's literally one of those things where it's just society didn't understand why these people were doing what they did, and some of it is direct correlations to health conditions in the cities and also socioeconomic. So it's kind of a really complex situation that we've only begun to understand now in this generation. And while we've gone really far outside the world of nerdiness into sociology,
I find this so nerdy, but I'll just let from one question from morality.
Yeah, one question. Morality straight into sociology. Sorry.
I'm going to do me a favor, though, Ian.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to get one of those icons that has a star and a rainbow and put the more you know across the bottom for your banner.
That sounds great. By the way, I'm sorry, I kind of forgot. What show is that from? Is it Reading Rainbow?
Oh no, The More You Know was it was just little snippets on NBC back in the day. It would just be like a 15-second commercial. It'd be like, spend time with your family. They like that, and then it would just be like a star would go. That was all it would do. It was just something. It's just some kind of thing like that, or some little fact like, if you turn your water faucet off while you're brushing your teeth, you save an entire lake over the course of a year. And then just stuff like that.
So public service announcement.
Yeah, it was just like that, but it was just you had that stupid catchy star at the end, so everyone's like, I remember the star, and none of the facts they tried to give me.
I don't think I ever saw that, but.
I would.
Did you not have TV in the 90s?
Well, in the 90s, I watched a lot of Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon.
Me too. I'm a 90s kid. Who else is are you a 90s kid, Tyler?
Oh no, I was born in 89, so no.
92.
I'm 89. I'm an 80s kid.
Dude, I think I'm the generation. Am I the generation after all of y'all?
No, we're all millennials.
Yeah.
Well, we're all millennials, and the fact, okay, Jared and I got an argument, Kaztech got in an argument about this, and he was saying we're Generation Y. You know what I discovered? Generation Y and millennials are the same damn generation.
Yeah.
So go to hell, Jared. I hope you're listening to this.
He
You are.
is.
You're right there.
He is. Take that, Jared.
Yeah.
He probably has a podcast on mute.
Probably. I hope he does. I hope he
So there's
does.
some of this terminology I don't fully understand, but you mean like do you mean Ian and Tavian? Are you guys actually born in the 90s?
No, I was born in '86.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
80s also, Tavian.
87.
Oh, 87. So I thought I heard an 80 in there. Yeah. Some of the audio loops over, and sorry, I don't mean to make you repeat yourself.
No, but yeah, the generations, they go from 1980 to 2000 is the millennial generation, so that's the generation you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. So I think that's a good note to end it on. Not the age, but the other part.
Suck
if
it,
you guys-
Jared.
Yeah. Yeah, Jared. If you want to go down, I'm gonna go down the line. You guys can tell people where you can find them, or where they can find you, if that makes more sense. And if you want a little bit about your show, and I'll start with Ian.
Yeah, you can find me on www.historicnerd.com. You can find my stuff directly there. You can talk to me directly if you go at historicalnerd on twitter.com. You can follow me on Facebook. I have a page on there, or my YouTube channel, The Historic Nerd. But yeah, or I'm on the consoleexplosion.com. So go to those places.
All right, might I share?
Me, what you can do to follow my stuff is really just some simple thing. You can go to YouTube and just type in "Might I Share," and I should come up with the same picture that I have here with me holding up this Mickey Mouse Dream Balloon card. And I have my music project on Facebook called Watson's Warehouse. Probably sound spelled just like it sounds. That's my band page. So yeah.
All right, and Tyler.
Yes, you can follow me on YouTube, The Video Game Hunter, or Hot Anime 32. They'll both take you to the same channel.
That's how I find you every time.
You can follow me on Twitter, BGH32, and I have a Facebook page, The Video Game Hunter. Also, I stream on the Console Explosion's Twitch every Monday, and I stream every Friday on my YouTube channel. So please follow me there for extra furriness.
For extra furriness. Oh,
Extra.
God. Oh, no. Oh, no. And, of course, I'm the Philosopher. You can find me on Facebook.com/Philosopher, or YouTube or Twitter right there at Philosopher. And always on the ConceptExplosion.com. So check out that website. All these guys can be found on there for sure, and
Yep.
also our forums. And lastly, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, definitely make sure to press that like button if you liked what we talked about. If you have some opinions or thought we were crazy or wrong, let us know down below in the comments. And if you want to see more updates on our weekly wrap-up or our podcast or anything else that we do, press that subscribe button. But as always, I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, or if you're a sociologist, please drop by and comment on what I said. Tell me if I'm wrong or not.
Yeah.